to show up and show out. Here to
down and join us because the winner will get a 7th heavenly evening out on the town with me. Who says that? Well, you never know. But here's one for now.
How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Thank you for your poster. You sent me a copy of your poster up at the office. Anyway, you're a remarkable-looking young lady.
Oh, thank you.
And on top of that, needless to say, you've got real good looks. Do you see yourself as a beautiful person?
Let's see. Beautiful person in the way of looking at me or just inside?
Well, let's talk about physical beauty first.
Oh, God, I get up in the morning out of bed and I want to scream. I look horrid. I do. I'd probably scare you right out of the room.
Let's try that.
Did you hear what he said? Let's try that. Oh, my God. I'm wondering how much was Denise flirted with. But I think it's very interesting what she said there when the man asked her, for people that think about it, her name was Vanity, right? And for him to ask her the most vain thing, do you think that you're beautiful? Do you think that, that you're beautiful? And I love how Denise said, she thought about it for a second and said, what do you mean? Like, do you mean like just looking at me or inside? And I was like, that's deep, right? For Vanity, that is very deep. But that's also what I want to talk about. I've seen so many people talk about, Denise. Denise was cursed with good looks, and she was cursed, and that was her curse, and that's what took her down, and all this kind of craziness, y'all. It's absolutely insane to say that somebody's good looks is a curse. Okay, so we're going to get right into that. I'm going to break this whole thing down.
I'm fine. I'm a little distracted by looking at you, but other than that, I'm fine.
It's so hilarious here how, Denise has Dick Clark drooling over her.
Come by that store. Give her a warm welcome. Vanity. Now, I mean, men must just fawn over you when you go out. I've been with you. We actually once went out after a club, and we went for sushi, didn't we? Up on Sunset Boulevard. And guys just really stare at you. How do you respond? How do you...
I just did.
I haven't been this flustered.
Say it front and center that Denise is the most beautiful woman to ever grace this earth that we put our eyes on. Now, there might be some more beautiful women in the Bible, okay? Because there's some described women in the Bible. But outside of the Bible, on this earth that we've seen, she's the most beautiful woman that we have ever seen, that we've ever encountered. But again, I want people to realize, though, it's also because of her inner beauty. Denise had she was just as beautiful on the inside as she was the outside, because she really was that beautiful. She just really was that beautiful. And I think a lot of times with a lot of the guys, when they would look into her eyes, that's what they saw. They saw her inner beauty. And I also just love how playful she was when the guy said, the interviewer guy said, man, men must just stare at you. And then she gets in his face and he's like, how do you deal with this? She's like, I just did. Basically, I stare back at him. I just love her personality and maybe kind of how she handled things, being the most beautiful woman on the earth at that time. That could not have been easy. But to me, she handled it with grace because...
I had a chance to work with Vanity, who was one of the most beautiful young ladies around. What was that like?
She was great. She was great. She's very beautiful. So every time we did a love scene, it was like eye to eye. So we had a lot of fun doing that.
Absolutely love. I think it was actually so adorable how he described it. Like, what was it like working with Vanity, the most beautiful woman ever? And he was boom, 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 boom. Like his heart was, she got his heart going. She got his heart right up. You know what I'm saying? But again, I think he was experiencing her inner beauty as well as her outer beauty.
Vanity, this is my friend Arsenio Hall.
Hello. He's kind of cute. It was nice talking to you. See you later, huh? Any man turn into a quivering ball of jello.
Oh, not in here.
It's her. I'm thinking it's a matching.
A glass of brandy, Mr. Kissinger?
Well, aren't you going to introduce me to your...
lady? Beautiful woman. Friend. She's a knight. She has...
I told you so, Freddie. I do it to all the guys.
It was being absolutely real. Like, oh my gosh, look at this beautiful woman. So we can clearly see, they even did a play on it on that show there, that Denise, had a way, okay? She had a way with the men, because of her beauty, because of her personality, because of how God made her. And this is the crazy thing I just want to ask people. And y'all say, so many people have said, God has cursed her with good looks. Her curse was her good looks. And I'm like, guys, that is the biggest oxymoron that I've ever heard in my life. Okay? The reason why this irritates me so much, and why even people have adopted that. Even Sinead O'Connor has said things to that nature, right? Like, man, well, you don't really, as a woman, you don't really want to be good looking because it brings, negative things that come your way.
Sometimes you say things that amazed me. I wonder if you even believe them. You said that you were ugly and hideous. Don't you realize that you can't cut your head bald and look this beautiful if you're ugly and hideous? Well, you're a very attractive woman. You can't believe you're ugly and hideous.
I didn't want to be pretty. It was dangerous to be pretty too, dress like a girl. I did not want to be pretty. You know, other girls beat you up if you're pretty too.
I'm always competing against myself and to see whether or not I can do it. You know, I know what I have as a woman. I know what I need. I know what I lack. Because when I started out in this field, it's extremely competitive, and I admire beautiful women, you know. And I get a lot of people that are extremely jealous of me, and that only hurts them, the way I look at it. I just compete against myself.
She say, I actually admire a beautiful woman. I'm not intimidated. Now, granted, she's the most beautiful woman that we've ever seen. So, you know what I'm saying? So she may have that stance because of that. What woman should she be intimidated by when it comes to looks? There's nobody, you know. But there is other reasons. There's women that are more talented. There's, you know, all the different women that pranced around her while stepping all on her heart, right? But she still said, I don't compete. I don't compete. I only compete with myself, you know. But Denise said it. What the whole problem is, guys, Sinead O'Connor said what the whole problem. Nobody is cursed because they got good looks or bad looks or whatever it is. God has made some beautiful people on this earth on purpose, with purpose.
Pierre, that's Mufasa. Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Yes. I've been a fan since I was, oh my God, your eyes. Oh my God. Oh my God, those close up we should get a close up. Those are like mesmerizing, beautiful.
This is the beginning of really the beautiful foundation of our friendship and brotherhood.
Yeah, I had a hard time listening to him. I mean, I heard it, I received it, I respect it. But your eyes are unfair. Wow, they're so pretty. They're so pretty.
To show that, because I loved how Kelly Clarkson actually responded. Because, guys, that's how we're supposed to respond when we come across a beautiful person. We're not supposed to hate, you know, we're not supposed to try to tear down, take advantage, you know, devalue. I think Denise Mathews and Aaron Pierre are probably the two, now again, that we have put our eyes on this earth, probably the most two beautiful people to ever grace this earth. You know, man and woman, just absolutely beautiful, right? Again, we're going to, I've seen so many people say she was cursed with good looks. And it's like, no, guys, she was blessed with good looks. Because let's just think about it for a second. Because of the reaction of other people. I do not like that saying, because it makes the people that are being jealous, like Denise said, there's people that, of course, there were tons of women and people very jealous of her. That is a known fact. There's no way that they weren't, right? It's how other people are reacting to your beauty or your gift or your talent, right? Or your ability or your charm or your wit, right? Whatever it may be. And people are, they're jealous and they are insecure, and because of that, they make you a target. Because of that, they made Denise a target. Guys, we got to take accountability for ourselves. The only reason why I had to deal with hatred and jealousy, and people always trying to take advantage of her and trying to use her for their gain, whatever type of gain it may be, right? This is the stuff that she had to deal with.
Sex, I mean, like men.
No, there wasn't a lot of sex. There wasn't a lot of sex.
Because I remember that time the whole, which you didn't know, but the whole Doc Severinsen orchestra voted you the woman they'd most like to go to bed with of that whole week's group, because that's what was going on backstage. And
well,
no, but that's I don't mean that fresh. They just meant that all those gorgeous women would come through, and every week at the end of the week would say, "Who do you think was the best looking in the group?" And you were voted that week, and you never knew. These were like little private things.
I probably never heard. I wasn't really awake then.
Do you get offended when people think you're just a sex symbol and not a talent? No, I don't think people think I'm a sex symbol and not a talent. Good question, good answer. Next.
One says that,
But I can't
that
sing?
Vanity, she's not really a singer. She's pretty. That's why she's making it in her relationship with
I don't
Prince.
know about all of that. No, I think that there's, some talent behind this, or else I wouldn't be in the business.
Yeah.
People that say that I can't sing, I know a lot of people that say I can sing great, which I think is nice.
Well,
and look at those examples. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You see where, Joan Rivers is telling Denise, all these men, they can't recognize and just say, wow, what, you're beautiful. You're so pretty. You're beautiful. Props to you. No, they're like, nah, I want to sleep with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then even when the lady asked her, well, do you get mad when they look at you as more as a sex symbol and not a talent, right? And even Donnie Simpson asked her that. And I would just ask the question, who has the problem here? Do the people in reaction to her beauty have the problem, or does Denise have the problem? This is the problem. Is not recognizing that somebody's la 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 singing voice, sorry guys, I don't have one, or somebody's basketball skills, or somebody's looks. They all come from God and should be honored. And not, you see what I'm saying? With Denise, it's like she's getting, she's being interrogated. For what? Her skill is being questioned. For what? Because the girl is absolutely gorgeous. This is why I don't like that saying of somebody is cursed with beauty. No. There's people that need to take accountability for how you see beauty, okay? How you see beauty, how you interact with somebody else's beauty really is the problem. It's the way, it's that, men have tried to take advantage. Women have probably taken it. Men probably tried to take advantage, and women probably tried to pull her down to their level because it's like, ain't no way on God's green earth I'm gonna be as good looking as you. But if I can get you to feel less of yourself, if I can get you to doubt yourself, if I can get you to not like yourself, then I won, even though you're still walking away the beautiful one. You know what I'm saying? Understand is like, we got to take accountability. Stop saying that person's cursed with good looks or her downfall was her looks. Stop saying stuff like that, because what it does is it makes the people that are treating this, causing the hate and the jealousy and the negative reaction, it makes them, have no accountability.
God, your eyes. Oh, those close up we should get a close up. Those are like mesmerizing, beautiful. Like they're unfair. Wow, they're so pretty. They're so pretty.
About it. If everybody, just like what Kelly Clarkson just did there with Aaron Pierre, and everybody was like that with everybody, you wouldn't feel that they were cursed. You wouldn't feel that way, right? Because you're treating them the way that they should be treated. You're honoring them the way that they should be honored. And you got to understand, this actually has such a godly significance. God made all of Denise, okay? I mean, like I said, I am a woman that lives for the Lord, and I will admit that the woman is absolutely gorgeous, okay? Absolutely gorgeous. But God purposely made her that way. People don't understand this. People think, well, it's vain, it's vain, it's vain. Guys, but it's not vain, because the Bible talks about it so many times. The Bible describes so many people in the Bible as good looking, as handsome, as beautiful. Why? Because it was a part of their calling. It was a part of their purpose, right? And trying to tell y'all this for a very long time. Denise Mathews was going to be big time regardless of Prince, whether or not she ran into Prince, right? Denise knew from when she was really young that she was supposed to be big time, right? That her life had great purpose, and that's what I feel like what we can learn from her. That's why we got to tap into God, right? Because if you're supposed to be big time, you're supposed to be big time in the things of God. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and Denise's ministry was already really big, right? Like I said before, she was going to be big. But Denise's ministry was supposed to be even bigger, in, like I said, in movies and television, because ministry is not just preaching, guys, and that's why I feel the Lord allowed her to go through certain things, was to build up her ministry to help other people.
He didn't love me, and I reminded him of my mother. They were never married, so they called you a bastard child, And but Jesus said he loved me, and it was awesome. Those were awesome words to hear. You can't even imagine. And so I fell in love, and then I just came back to my first love.
We can tap into that, and we can feel on the inside our purpose and what we're supposed to do, but we lose the direction, right? Instead of running into maybe perhaps I don't know, a Kirk Franklin, perhaps, right? She ran into a Prince, you know what I'm saying, and it changed the whole direction of her life. But that's actually the awesomeness of God, that God allowed Denise to run into Prince instead of maybe a Kirk Franklin or a Mary, Yolanda Adams, right? Because the Bible says that he will work all things for your good, right? And so the thing about it is, now he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and let you be vanity, because I'm still gonna bring you in, right? But now you being vanity, I'm gonna allow you to impact people that you would have never been able to maybe impact being Denise Mathews. And this is why I keep trying to tell y'all, her ministry was supposed to be even bigger than it was. And we got a little bit of a taste of it. But that's what God was doing. He's like, okay, I'm gonna work all things for your good, so that you being vanity, even though it tore you up on the inside, even though it almost took your life, I'm gonna actually do that to give other people life, right? Again, purpose, right? And you might, what does that have to do with her looks? It has everything to do with her looks, because God made her beautiful, on the inside and the outside, that people gravitate, people look. You got to look twice. Denise probably had women even looking twice, not just men, probably even women looking twice. No, not in that way, guys. I'm not talking about in that way, but just in a way of like seeing something and being like, wow, right? Something that you see and you're in awe of, okay? To admire somebody for a gift or even for their beauty is honoring God, Okay, when we go, but we don't do that with people. We want to tear them down. But when we go and say, wow, you have a great talent. Oh, wow, you did that really well. Or wow, you are beautiful. You are gorgeous. Man, that's all to the glory of God. So Denise's beauty and her beautiful perfection, complexion was all for the glory of God. All for the glory of God. I know this sounds strange and some of y'all just don't believe me. Okay, let me give you some Bible examples. It's vain to value somebody that is beautiful when God created them that way and on purpose. Let's look at some of the people, right? You see right here in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 12, it says David is handsome. Let me read it though. It says that this chapter is about David's physical appearance. David, the youngest son of Jesse, who was chosen by God. God picked David, was chosen by God to be the next king of Israel, as we all know. It says the verse states that he was ruddy with beautiful eyes and was handsome. The Lord then instructed Samuel to anoint him, declaring him the king. Now, why, again, I'm just going to show these, but why does him having beautiful eyes and being very handsome, what does that have to do with anything if it doesn't matter? Abraham's wife, who was so remarkable. Look, why is the Bible even talking about this? But I'm just saying, look at this. It says Abraham's wife, whose beauty was so remarkable that Abraham feared for his life. And I just read it there. And I feel like, guys, this is the problem, right? This is the problem. Sarai's beauty was a gift from God. But now, because of people, right, enter Denise Mathews, because people, are looking at it as some type of way. And then you got Abraham even like, man, my wife is so beautiful. I know for sure they're going to kill me for her. I know they're going to take me out because they're going to want her. So I'm going to act like you my sister. You my sister, girl. You okay? You ain't even my sister wife. You my sister. Okay? So that I can have some type of favor. And this is the whole point of what I'm saying. And there's more. Rebecca in Genesis 24:16. Look at it says Rebecca is described as being very attractive in appearance. Right? Again, I'm just saying, we just look at this stuff in the Bible. She is described as being very attractive in appearance. Again, I'm just going to keep asking, why is this being mentioned in the Bible if there's not meaning behind it, guys? Some of y'all that read your Bible, right? 1 Samuel 23:5 with Abigail, right? It describes her as a woman of good understanding and beautiful appearance. Once again, and beautiful appearance. We have here queen, I can't even say that word. Y'all see what it is. But it's in Esther 1:11. And it says the initial queen described as beautiful, whose refusal to appear before the king led to her disposition. So these women also had, they ain't just like pretty little things just sitting around, waiting to be swooped up by a man. That's what I'm saying. All these things have meaning. Man, some of these Bible names, what is this? Okay, but this is 1 Kings 1:3-4. What is that? Abishag? I don't know. But it says that, look, it says the woman chosen to attend King David in his old age, noted for her great beauty. Why does that even matter? If she's tending to him in his old age, why does her beauty even matter? Why are we even bringing it up? For those who read your Bible, you guys know that Job's daughters were looked at. You see here, Job 42:15. I'm not about to try to get all these names. Jeremiah, Kazak, y'all see it. It says they are stated to be the most beautiful women in the land. The most beautiful women in the land. Okay. We see it here with Joseph. Genesis 39:6. Jacob's son described as handsome, which is Joseph, as handsome in form and appearance. And look what the Bible also said. And he was well built and handsome and has good looks. Okay. The Bible went as far to say, and well built. Okay. And well built. Description of beauty often accompanies narratives where a character is set apart for a special purpose, such as Joseph, Esther, Daniel. It says their attractiveness is seen as a part of their overall favor and destiny within God's plan. And that's why I say that Denise had great favor with God. It may not seem like it because of her circumstance, but I'm telling you, she was always going to be big. And the other thing to remember too is Denise was just as beautiful on the inside. That was God's working too, as she was on the outside. Okay, you look at her beauty, she was just as beautiful on the inside. And this was all a part of God's purpose and plan for her life.
You were on the cover of Playboy and
I was
on the photo spread with not as much clothes as you wear now.
I
You're also well known as a rock singer and for your musical partnership with Prince.
I am.
Do you
Prince
still,
who?
Prince. Do you still keep in touch with him?
Of course, yeah.
Purple Rain was really for you.
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was a script that
What happened?
we all took part in writing it.
And I had a decision to make whether or not I wanted to go away and do a solo album, which I did with Berry Gordy, with Motown.
Talk once in a while?
Well, we see each other now and then, but we don't have long conversations because it's always passing through.
Do you think he's somewhere longing for you and thinking about you now?
You think?
I don't know.
My name is Vanity, and there's nothing I like better than getting dressed up like a duck and rubbing mayonnaise all over my feet and watching Al TV. Being a spy, it's more like the James Bond woman. I hope that that's what it comes across as. I think I'm a little bit meaner. I don't know.
And you can see there, Denise had such a beautiful personality. Just absolutely, her personality was just as gorgeous as she was. Just such a great sense of humor. You know, she had wit, she had charm. Denise, she honestly really had it all. Everything that you really want in a person. That's why I said before, people like, Prince put her on the map and we wouldn't even know who Denise Mathews is. She wouldn't have been able to preach if it wasn't for Prince. It's like, that's not true. Denise, if you go and you just pray about it, man, Denise was going to be big. We may not have known her as Vanity, right? And there may be certain people that may not know her because they never knew her as Vanity. But Denise Mathews, calling and purpose on her life was huge. And really, I'm not going to lie, like I loved her as Vanity, but that was really a distraction to what God really had for her. To take accountability and stop saying that they're cursed with good looks. Denise was actually blessed with good looks. What makes it cursed is cursed people. What makes it cursed is humanity. When as a people, we mistreat the beautiful ones and we mistreat the less attractive ones, right? You have the less attractive ones. It's like, nobody thinks I'm beautiful. Nobody thinks I'm cute. I'm not in the cool kids club. And then you go over here with Denise where you're taken advantage of, you're looked at, your beauty is looked at more than your gift, your talent, your personality, and that is us. Can you imagine if we just looked at people and just said, wow, she's beautiful. Wow, he's handsome. And left it at that and left it as a compliment? Do you know how we would demolish the spirit of lust, right? Because that is usually what is anchoring everything that we do. But we could get rid of that spirit of lust. Here's the thing. We have to remember, God had his plan for Denise Mathews and how do you say it? The devil had his plan. Remember what I said. The devil's plan was to make Denise so big outside of the things of God. She was on the brink of being like legendary because she's already iconic, right? She had already reached iconic status in like 2 years, right? So the devil had it to where he was going to make her legendary and big in ways that God never planned, but ways that was killing her soul. It was ways that was killing, her on the inside. And so the devil's plan was to make her huge, right? In front of all of us, but on the inside, because she already was. She said that she was,
When you had it on fire, you had it on fire. So that's the kind of,
huh?
Oh, definitely. Oh, trust me. Yes, you did.
At my deepest hour as Vanity, I didn't feel that way. I was miserable. I don't remember too many happy times as Vanity.
She was unhappy, right? And so, but God had his plan, and God's plan, I'm trying to tell you, Denise was going to be big. When I say big, I mean big in ministry. Like she was going to be big time in ministry, be big time in the things of God. Maybe even in movies, maybe even in music, something that we didn't see her in on the God side, right? We saw it on the other side, but we didn't see it on God's side. But all I know is you can clearly tell that Denise was somebody special that God was going to use majorly for his glory. Understand about this is that every single one of us, God has a plan for our life, but then so does the enemy, so does the adversary, so does the devil, right? We saw that with Job, and we have to decipher and get an understanding of what of God and what isn't. You got to figure out what purpose and plan are you operating under. Is it God's, or is it the devil's? And sometimes it can look like it's God's because everything's going so good, but it doesn't mean that God's in it. And just because it's going bad does not mean there's God in it, that God is not in it. Remember the story again of Job, where Job lost everything and he thought that God had turned on him. And it really wasn't the case at all. God was just testing him to actually bless him even more, right? So we got to make sure that we get an understanding. And I'm glad Denise did that. She recognized the difference between God's call and the world's call. And we got to just make sure we understand, just because it's popping off and it's blowing up doesn't mean God's in it. And just because it's not popping off or maybe not as popular, it doesn't mean that God isn't in it. Make sure that you understand the call that's for your life. That's why I think it was so amazing what Denise did, is that once she recognized the call that, oh, wait a minute, I've been working, operating under the world's way. Let me go ahead and do it God's way. And that's the comfort we can have in knowing that God has a purpose and a plan for your life, for your looks, for your personality, for your eye shape, for your lip shape, for your ear shape, whether you're tall, you're skinny, you're short, whatever it is, he has a purpose and a plan for it. He actually designed you, just like he did Denise, designed you in a way that fulfills his will for your life. Okay, so that's what we got to understand. But we also got to understand that when it comes to other people, whether, we think they're the most beautiful in the world, or we stomping, we don't think they're worth our time. No. Everybody has value. Everybody has a calling. Everybody has a purpose. I don't like the way his eyes shape. Well, God does. I don't like the way her hair is, but God does. I don't like how tall. I don't like how short she is, but God does. Right? Maybe we say these things to ourselves. I don't like how I look, but God does. I don't like my hair, but God does. Right? I don't like my height, but God does. I don't like my personality, but God does. Okay? And it is for his will and his purpose for your life. Said all that to say, celebrate yourself regardless to what people say about you, but also celebrate those other ones. Celebrate the beauty in every single person. Realize that everything about that person is God inspired. Everything about you is God inspired. Meaning, I'm not saying all of your ways, okay? Because we got some sinful ways about us that isn't God inspired, but I mean your person. That's why we got to tap into his purpose. That's why it was amazing that Denise tapped into God's purpose for her life. Love God, love people. May God bless you. May God keep you.
I'm new and improved. I'm set.